So I got an update. It happens every couple years from Ancestry. They'll have updates on ancestral regions and percentage.
Mm-hmm.
So as is the case before, it's dropped a little bit. It was 37-35. Now it's 35-32. So I'm 35% Italian.
Okay.
32% Ashkenazi Jew. 13% Irish. 11% Germanic Europe. 5% Scotland. 2% Denmark. I've never seen that. And 1% Baltics. And there's stories associated with it that I'll look into. That's very interesting. But still, I've got 70% of my DNA is Italian and Jewish in my blood. You're not going to do it, are you?
That's why you like salami.
Of all kinds.
Juice!
Hey, welcome back to our Stupid Reacts. I'm Corbin.
I'm Rick.
You follow us on Instagram, Twitter, more juicy content. Thank you everybody for some page for following. I don't need to do it. My dad did it. And
you don't have the exact same DNA tracers as your dad. You know your mom contributed to your DNA as well.
That's true, and I think her father did it as well.
You heard about Conan O'Brien when he did his, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't know, Conan is 100% Irish, and you know what that means. The family was close.
I'm predominantly Irish, Welsh, and English. It was a predominant.
Irish and English. How do you live with yourself?
Actually, it's actually Irish is predominant,
Yeah.
and then Welsh.
Yeah.
Is the
Interesting.
And then there's some Scotland, but basically there, and then they moved to South Carolina and then stayed there forever.
Was Ireland just so freaking, not just because it's a beautiful place, but because that's where you're from? Was that awesome? Knowing that like my ancestors are from here? That didn't.
I don't care about that.
Okay. Yeah.
But it was that cool though.
Yeah.
I'm not a person that gets kind of sentimental about that
Those
kind of
kinds
stuff,
of things.
Most of my ancestors were slave owning racists. Well, no, they weren't slave owning because they were poor.
No,
but they probably wanted to own them.
They probably wanted to own them. Man, my dream in life is to one day own a slave.
Yeah,
that's Korbin's DNA.
Unfortunately.
So what are we doing today?
What?
What are we doing?
Oh,
we're not just talking about our DNA, are we?
I hope so.
I do.
Today we got a Tamil song. This is a experience.
Experience the magic of Nenjin Ezhuth with the official music video. Adarsh, Krishnan, and Vidya Lakshmi ji bring you a soulful Tamil pop song that will tug at your heartstrings. Don't miss out on this musical masterpiece.
I won't.
I'd like it to tug on other things than my heartstrings, you know what I'm saying? Like my soul.
Oh, sad.
Don't be sad.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, song-wise, it was gorgeous. The arrangement on it was.
And sorry we don't have subs to get the poetry of the lyrics.
I
so.
assume it's just about an artist and their journey and their. It looked like at one point, obviously, they had gone on with their life and they were no longer like the center stage. They were teaching. Obviously, most artists can probably relate to that, but just because most artists don't make it, and 99.9% of artists, in terms of make it, in terms of like
Get to the dreams they have.
yeah, exactly,
Right.
Most 99.9% of artists
Have some variation of the
Yes,
journey
exactly.
that they didn't anticipate. Yeah.
doesn't mean they stop, but
No.
obviously, but a lot do. Or they, you have to make money. You have a family. You just things happen in your life. And then obviously it looked like the beginning, like when she was a younger kid and her mom pushing her and
Yeah, and it looked like obviously she was
can't
told,
do this. You want to.
Yeah, you want to do this, get out.
Yeah.
And yeah, really beautifully shot too.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because I do this all the time, I was going to scream hey, but it felt completely irreverent to do that when they were rolling in the hay.
Yeah, probably
but really well done music video. Lovely song, lovely arrangement and production quality. I'm sure we missed some things because of not understanding what's going on with the lyrics, but
Why do you
all
say
in
that?
all, it's still nonetheless really, really beautiful.
That is extremely
Liked it a
beautiful.
lot.
Her dancing looked, and like
Yeah,
sometimes obviously
that's a pretty shot,
especially
right there.
like
237.
dancers. Obviously, theirs is different. They're kind of you almost have a finite in terms of the arts. That one has a very finite amount of time that you can be at the top.
It's like
It's so
like athletes.
It's physical.
Yeah.
Soon your body just can't do what it used to.
Yep.
Even Prabhu, who's 50 and still killing it, he will tell you, I can't do what I did in my 20s.
Absolutely. And for all disciplines, some are more brutal than others.
As opposed to acting, which is, I think, the opposite.
It's the total opposite.
Usually you kind of get better as you
Right.
get older.
Right. And you can still...
You can't do like the physical things of most
No,
people.
but you can continue to act literally until you're in the grave.
Yeah.
You can still dance, but you can't, for example, it's the level of excellence we're talking about. So, like, Mikhail Baryshnikov can still dance, and he dances better than anybody his age, but he's not going to be at the top of dance today as far as the art form. Sir Anthony Hopkins is at the top of acting still.
Same thing with
And that's just the nature of the discipline.
different, and I think dancing has a smaller, even smaller time frame, just like athletes basically, because it's essentially almost a sport. Basically.
By the time you're in your mid-30s, you're old.
But singing, very
It's tough.
It's not the body wears down before your voice fully does, obviously,
And you got to care for it.
but that will also like you can't probably sing when you're 60 as well as you could when you were 28, 30.
And even when you're a really trained, good singer, Julie Andrews has talked about the fact that she's always sung properly. She was trained, but you just, as you age, those things change. And dance is the most unforgiving as far as
That'd
the
be
art
an
form.
interesting question for Zakir Hussain.
It would be.
You are the greatest tablet player of all time.
Right.
You are still playing
Right.
at an extremely high level.
Right.
Can you do what you did in 20s, or are you better than you were when you were 20? Like,
And
20,
I bet
like
it's
28.
And I bet it's a mixture of both.
Yeah.
I bet it's a mixture of both.
He says my knowledge is probably better, even though he still says
Right.
he's a student.
Right.
But I wonder, because obviously that's physical. He's doing something that's physical, even though it's hands. But is it autopilot now?
One of my favorite things, we go to a jazz class together, and Johnny and I on Sunday mornings. Not every Sunday, but pretty regularly now for the better part of a year and a half. And my favorite thing about the class, aside from it just being Johnny and I love making my brain and my body do stuff that I don't do anywhere else. But there's a lot of ladies in the class who are in their 70s.
Yep.
And it's so beautiful to watch them dance and be in tune with their body. And you can see who they were when they were dancing when they were younger. And that's one of my favorite things, especially with a discipline like dance, is to see people still pushing themselves. Dance is so hard.
Yep.
Dancers make it look easy. And your body forgets stuff. Like when I went back to class and I'm starting to do some things, I remember when I was a kid, I was dancing all the time. I was on plays and TV shows and dancing every single day and picking up choreography that was going to have to be done at Dancing with the Stars level choreography. You don't use those muscles and you age and you go back to try to do it again. You're starting from scratch. You are a beginner dancer again. At least I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not really a beginner. I've got a big step ahead of other people, but it's a hard discipline.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. Do you think of the arts, dance is the one that's the most finite?
In terms of your lifespan?
In terms of like you doing it at the best level? Obviously,
Yeah, there's
exceptions, of course, but there's a standard.
The window
in terms of the
of
arts.
the fine arts, the window of excellence and the ability to be at the top of your profession, dance is without question the most.
What about like
without question?
I bet the fingers are different because those don't wear like as fast because like guitars can still be amazing. Zakir Hussain, obviously, but like what about like woodwind?
Nah, Pedro would be a good person to tell you about that. But Pedro's still at the top of his game.
It's anything physical, obviously, because as you get older, you were slowly dying since when we were born.
Yeah,
basically from birth.
I guess the next one, I don't know. Nothing, I think, comes even a close second to.
Yeah. Obviously,
dance.
We're not including sport.
I mean, you can continue to do it, obviously, but we're talking about to be elite at the best of the best in the world. Elite. Dance, I think, is the most unforgiving.
Writing, maybe. Does your brain get better? I mean, I guess it depends on your age. I mean, after a long while, maybe what's his writer of The Shining?
Stephen King.
Stephen King. He's been writing. Does he get better as a writer? Or does he get
And I think the next one is, and I'm thinking about the fine arts and things like that. If you're talking about singers, opera is pretty unforgiving.
Still singing though, yeah. My bet it would be dancers and then singers.
Yeah.
Would be the two, and then acting, and as long as it's not like physical.
There's things you can't do that you used to do.
Yeah.
As you get older, even things like Joaquin Phoenix said he's probably done changing his body.
Yeah.
That you can't do some of the things where you're putting on weight and losing weight in your 20s and 30s. Once you hit your 40s and 50s, you realize, I'm not doing that much anymore.
Yeah.
You're not going to see Anthony Hopkins play an emaciated Holocaust survivor.
Granted.
Never going to happen.
If you go at it in terms of the finite, how long you can play a certain age range, acting is very finite.
Very finite.
Depending on your look.
And depending on your gender.
Yeah. I mean, if my wife was an actor, she could still play high school.
She could.
It's kind of insane.
She could.
It's really kind of insane.
Yeah, like what's his name?
Who's Jenna Ortega's kind of old now.
Who played...
She used to play high school.
Who was Miley's brother in Hannah Montana?
Oh, yeah.
You realize when he was doing the show, he was 30?
It's like Grease.
Yeah.
Except those guys did not look like they were high
Michael
schoolers.
J. Fox was that way, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People have... I'm VJ.
Yeah. Yeah. Babyface.
He's a babyfacer.
Babyface.
Anyways.
And then there's the reverse. There's people who looked 50 when they were 19. LeBron James.
Sonny from Grease.
Yeah.
Anyways, great video. Great song. Let us know anything else we need to know down below.
Juice!